What up, everybody, and welcome to, well, it's the Lore Games. It's Thursday. Lore. What's up, man? Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. What's up, chat? MK, Galaxy, Willie D, KG. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? We got some a great team in the house. I've texted Andrew. He'll probably show up whenever he feels like it. He'll pop in. Oh, speak of the devil. Look at that. Right on time as I was calling his name and cursing him to the moon. Hey, Andrew.
I set my alarm clock for 8. It went off, and I turned it off and went right back to sleep.
I understand.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. You're okay.
You're not forgiven.
You're not. We literally just went live 30 seconds ago. You were perfectly in time. We just went live. So.
Well, then I should have told you that story. Damn it!
Well, you look like you just like fell off of a bed. So you look like you just woke up.
Yeah, I'm getting here.
That's all right. Take your time. You got this.
Honestly, I'm kind of jealous.
I was gonna say sorry I'm late. I was out celebrating your wife's birthday, but I figured that might be bad.
Just so you know, yes, Melissa's birthday is today. We just got back from a hibachi. We took the kids out. We went to a Japanese hibachi grill, and it was awesome. It was really good.
Well, make sure you give her big hugs and kisses from all of us.
I'm sure I will. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, she's doing great. She's having a very good birthday, I think so. But good job, Andrew. You could have said something snide, and you kind of did, but I'll forgive you, and I still kind of love you, so it's all right.
Yeah, I turned it around on you there.
He said he wasn't gonna say it.
I know.
I would have said it.
Yeah, but you would have said it a completely different way.
I would have been filthy.
I'm sorry.
MK says, I don't know why, but suddenly I want to see Clubber Lang take on Rocky.
That's
Oh, man. Well, we've got Dusty Sky in the house. How are you doing, Dusty?
Good.
Awesome. You guys know him and love him from AF. We got Mikhail Kalishnikov over here, a.k.a. Avery Butterworth. How you doing, Avery? Let the Wookiee win. That's great. You guys know Avery's work. His stuff is all over the world. He's the artist from Devoid Origin comic from Adult Fantasy. He's done stuff with White Wolf RPG Publishing. He's done stuff for Image and Heavy Metal. So he's been around, and we're super fortunate to have him here tonight. In this corner, we've got Zachariam, aka Zachary Arbella. Zach is a 13-time fantasy novelist. He's published a whole bunch of stuff. He's also been writing the adult fantasy novel for us. You guys know that because you guys came up with a story. So he's writing the story that we as a community came up with. It's turning out fantastic. Melissa and Flynn have been reading the first draft. I'm doing it a little bit, but I'm kind of been stuck with the RPG stuff. But I'm in there as well, but I'm probably in third place for reading it. But it's great, man. It's really good. Yeah. Zach, how you doing, man? Welcome.
I'm fairly certain my cat is possessed. As in his head is rotating on his neck, and there's like blood appearing on the walls. Possessed.
Totally normal.
Or he just could be a cat.
Yes, it's just a cat.
That's
all
right.
like that.
And as far as a house cat is concerned, the entire world is made for his benefit, and I'm just there to facilitate his needs.
You are property.
Yep,
that's right.
Well, I'm good.
At least you know your place.
That's right. At least you know your place. Welcome back.
I've recently taken up cocktail mixing, and I'm just waiting for this mojito to kick in.
All right, there you go.
Once this is done, I'm gonna make myself a martini. So hopefully, by the time the session's over, I will be completely incomprehensible. Or I'll be like ranting like obscure conspiracy theories about the moon landing, and unfortunately for you, the button will be muted, so you'll have no idea what I'm saying.
The way that started to come out when you first started to say it I recently just started taking cock. Wait, what?
Yeah. I caught that.
Cocktail mixing. Get your money
Dangerous
out.
territory.
Yeah.
Ramel.
Hey, you know I picked up on that one. Not the cock part,
You know what?
but it's where it was going.
If you guys, I'm going silent. Not really, but you know.
I get you. Welcome, Romel Davis, future filmmaker. Don't give this man no statue. Give him guts. How you doing, man?
Nobody knows where that's from.
I don't know where that's from. I
Not
gotta
a clue.
be honest.
Shocker.
Nobody.
Like Guts, the character Guts?
Rocky 3.
Oh.
3.
That's
Mr.
I-
MK got it.
I
MK got
haven't
it.
watched Rocky 3 in 20
Yeah, wasn't that the whole reason why MK brought up
MK
Rocky?
got it. That's why he put the clue in there. I don't know why, but suddenly I want to see Clubber Lang take on Rocky. So,
Okay.
but
wasn't
I
reading
can't
chat.
front.
Sorry.
You know,
MK figured it out.
MK had it.
I
My
knew it
fault,
was a,
MK.
I
Good
knew it
luck.
was a Rocky reference. I just didn't know which one. So
You didn't say that, but
Cage
I
I
digress.
was on mute. Sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that Romel was dissing MK there. I mean, isn't
No.
Isn't that normally
Props. He
Flint's
just gave him
job?
props. Ramel just gave him props. Anyway, welcome, Ramel. By the way, I really do dig that Miles Morales hoodie you got. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, I figured Black History Month. Let me celebrate some of my heroes.
You
Hold
know,
on a
if I wear
second.
something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
it just doesn't look right, man.
For it to be authentic, shouldn't it be pink?
We're gonna
You know
show him.
No.
We're going to show him. I've already pulled
We're
it up.
gonna show him.
I've already
we're gonna
pulled it up.
show him.
We're about to address this.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
So,
I'll wait.
what's up, Flint? How you doing? Co-founder of Adult Fantasy, and
Doing all right.
He's behind all things tech.
Hello. I'm doing good.
Awesome. Yeah. It's hard because Flint and Dusty and I and Melissa, we talk like pretty much all day, every day. So it's like, how you doing, man? It's like, well, I know. How was the last 7 hours of your day?
Same old
Yeah, honestly, today's been a lot, but I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. All it takes to clear your head is a little escapism and just a tiny little bit of like mental. Games, man, gaming. MK says, "LOL, everyone is so saucy tonight. We're just loosening up. We're just loosening up."
That's because I got here.
That's true. Oh, Andrew, you're here. How are you?
Hey, does anybody else think Todd needs to get 2 more friends so we could play Hollywood Squares?
That's not bad. That's not a bad idea. That's not a
We
bad
need,
idea.
we need to go out and buy like a Marvel trivia game or a comics trivia game and do trivia questions, and then
All we got to do, if we get a full house here, all we got to do is invite some friends in from chat. We put the link in and we bring some people in.
that's
That would be
absolutely what we need to do. And then we need to play Hollywood Squares and let the guests choose the square and then ask the trivia question.
The deal is like the chat's going to hold you to it. You know this, right?
Yeah. You got to be very, very careful.
You got to be very careful. If
These
you're
guys-
down for it, it's going to happen. So, just saying.
Well, I'd say I would suggest movie trivia, but then again,
No, I don't know anything about movies.
That's
That would be me.
That's Ramel.
well, that's why Romel's center square.
I'm the square you hit.
Look at this. Oh, I was wearing my Cerberus shirt today, and I was picking up Eva, and I had like a little kid walk up to me and like look at my shirt and poke me in the belly and be like, "What's that?" And I started explaining Cerberus to him. The comic character, the indie comic character from Dave Sim, and like he was loving it, man. It was like such a cool looking shirt. He was all over it. Yeah. He was all over it.
I had a kid come into my store last weekend. One of my regulars comes in with his son, and the son walks in the door and says to me, "You know what? I have a song in my heart." And I start cracking up laughing because in the video that I put out where I started singing to the scammer, that's what I said before I started singing. So he had watched the video and
Oh, okay.
They were laughing their asses off, and I said, "Okay, that works."
By the way, just as a prelude for tomorrow night, I've actually pulled out. Do you guys? This is deep comic nerd, so apologies to Flint and Dusty and Zach. Do you guys remember this book? Do you remember this book at all?
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
I think I've seen it, but I don't know.
So this
I've
is
never read it, but yeah.
an indie book called Panel Discussions, and it's basically an interview book with all these artists on how they do their process, purely like how you compose your panels and like the steps. It's listen to the lineup. Okay, Mike Carlin, Randy Stradley, Mike Riringo, Mark Schultz, Dick Giordano, Mike Mignola, Brian Stelfreeze, Scott Hampton, David Mazzucchelli, Chris Moeller, Walter Simonson, George Pratt, John Van Fleet, Mark Chiarello, Will Eisner.
Wow.
It's literally just black and white and them going through like how they actually compose their pages and all that stuff, like pure talk on technical stuff. So I think tomorrow night maybe we'll go through it and read some, maybe like Mike Mignola or Stelfreeze's interview and kind of.
Sure, sounds great.
How many of those guys are dead?
You know, as time moves on, Andrew.
No, I'm just thinking. Several of those names have. I'm thinking maybe it's a list of.
Yeah,
That's sad.
This book, I mean, it is. This book came out 2002, so 20 years old.
Oh wow! I mean, I know Will Eisner. I know Mike Ringo.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything bad about Walt. He's still with us.
He's here. He's still
I
around.
know. But
Well, check
damn,
this out. So,
that's an awesome reference.
In honor of Ramel tonight, I want to like.
I was wondering if you're going to try to display something off of his dome.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm expecting, based on the new costume. All I'm saying is that I think the new comic that they're trying to pull out. Well, let me see it. Let's see. Let me get a share screen. I believe the new comic that they're going to be putting out is called Miles and Morales. So I need a professional, the professional opinion, Ramel. I think the new costume is terrible. I think the costume you have, the classic red and black, is pretty perfect. It's actually a really good design. What do you think?
I like the original design better.
Would you rock this?
The pink is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not great, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Fair enough.
Find another shot of it. It's really, I hate it.
It has a hoodie.
Yeah.
It has a hoodie built into it.
Let's see. Google Miles Morales.
How are y'all doing the screen share? I have no idea how you all doing that.
There's a button at the bottom that says present.
You have to do it on your computer. You can't do it on your cell phone, I don't think.
Yeah, it's on the computer.
It's probably the issue.
But they're going to go back to the old costume because they've got the movie coming out. The new movie. So
here, Avery, I'll share this and you tell me which one you think is a good representation.
Which, by the way, I think,
into the Spider-Verse 2, right?
Yeah, I think.
I'm so excited for that movie.
Spider-Man 2099 looks freaking awesome.
That's great. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that's
pick
pretty
that
damn
one. They've got that neck thing that comes up on his face sometimes. I hate it.
They don't ever they don't show.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's this one right here.
Like I don't mind the suit having a hoodie. I just think it looks weird the way it's drawn.
It's really, really strange.
It's terrible.
There's the new. Let's see if I can.
It literally looks like he's wearing a hoodie.
Because he is. He's wearing a sweater.
Yeah.
Like one of those ones that has the thing that comes up like on your face like a neck gaiter.
Yeah. It's
that's not very good looking.
It's like Spider-Man 2099 meets.
It does look like 20. Yeah.
It's way worse.
Yeah, 'cause like Miles
I have
Morales with the
nothing else to
hoodie
go
can
with
look good. Like in the Miles Morales video game, they have a couple
That's a great
costumes that are
costume.
like that, and it looks but you know you can switch out the costumes, and some of them do have a hoodie, and it looks great. You know.
Yeah, this I could rock the jacket, you know, like the upper part, but I just don't know those tights, man. Little too much for me.
It's the combo too, you know.
Yeah.
It's between
It's the
the
combo.
really loose. That's the loose top and the form
The
fitting
super tight
tights.
bottom. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's literally how
Here's
women.
the hoodie, you know.
That's literally how girls dress.
So basically, you got to go tight all the way. You just can't half cock it all the way. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, the regular costume with a hoodie would be fine.
Avery, what's the
Like
name?
that on the right
other?
was awesome.
Isn't that called
You know?
Donald ducking, or is that something else?
Donald ducking's when you're not wearing pants.
Oh, okay. I knew it meant something.
Oh man. Well, without going to non-PC, what's the name of? Do you, Avery, Andrew? Do you know the name of that other Spider-Man that came out that was the fashion designer?
Oh God.
Put in LGBTQ Spider-Man and it'll come up.
Oh, the one that was in the
There we
wheelchair?
go.
Yeah,
There we go.
No,
that's
that
him
one.
right there.
That's terrible. That's even worse.
What was his name? Weaver?
Whoa, back up. You have a Spider-Man that's in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a girl and she swings around
And she shoots webs from her crutches.
from her crutches.
Yeah.
And her legs flail around behind her as she swings. It's horrible. It's such an insult.
Yeah, it really is pretty bad, actually.
It's an insult to Spider-Man, and it's an insult to people who are in a wheelchair.
If you want
terrible.
to, you should Google Cyborg Spider-Woman. She's actually a character in the new movie, and they have toys out of her.
Look, whose idea was that? And then who drew it and goes, okay.
My big thing is I don't even care about this. My big problem with it is that it just dilutes the brand.
Yeah, there's too many.
You can't have 400 different Spider-Men. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll actually
type in Cyborg Spider-Woman.
Because
I'm still at a loop for a paraplegic Spider-Man that shoots webs from her crutches.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, first image right there.
This?
Yeah, that's her. That's the toy from the new movie of Cyborg Spider-Woman.
What is happening?
What?
Huh?
He's right. Cyborg Spider-Woman.
Why are you saying what? Like you don't think this is what they really would do?
It's oh my God.
I have to admit I've never seen this, but you're not wrong, and that's ridiculous.
Not only was it made into a toy, it's already been released. The movie doesn't even come out yet, but they've released that toy.
You know what that looks like? That looks like some kid just like ripped all their toys apart and just assembled a new toy from the parts of other toys.
I thought it was overkill.
Yeah, sure.
Like you have to have contempt in your heart to do this to a character.
Contempt in your heart. No, meanwhile,
like,
that's from a place of
impudent rage.
I'll be honest, I don't actually understand what I'm looking at because it doesn't make any sense to me on any level.
Now type in Spider Rex.
Oh no, really?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not Cyborg. It's another toy that's been released for the movie.
Okay, you know I hear you, but also
I know.
Rules.
Hey, I didn't say it was bad.
My inner 10-year-old kind of loves this. I'm just saying.
I understand a 10-year-old like it, but it's kind of
like that. That's. I'm sorry, but that's fucking funny.
Here's the problem, Flint, is that I agree. Oops. The inner 10-year-old does find it humorous. The only problem is that the people who are buying this are in their mid 40s. That's who buys comics.
Yeah.
So
I'm not that upset at that. I can hang with Spider Rex a little more than I can Cyber Spider Woman because I don't understand it. No, I'm just lost at a paraplegic Spider-Man.
Which one is that one?
I don't know, but just put in like Spider-Man.
Oh, what is her name?
I don't know.
Yes, Spider Rex does have a mohawk.
There's the punk rock Antifa Spider-Man too.
He's actually pretty popular.
Yeah,
at least that's what they say. He got his own series. So
there she is.
Oh, what is her name? They all have their own special name. It's not just Spider-Man. It's something, special.
What am I looking at? Oh wait, that's the
very confused.
God.
That is the paraplegic Spider Girl who shoots spider webs from her.
Yeah, and she swings around with her wheelchair folded up on her back.
Yep.
And her legs flapping around.
Which in that image it looks like she has her legs bent, but that's not how that works. So even the artist was like, I really can't draw that.
Yeah, things are happening. Okay, well, now that we've done that to ourselves,
the future of adult fantasy is bright.
Yeah.
How many versions of Devoid are we gonna do?
Yeah, they're just.
Wait, that's an idea for our stories. We parody all that stuff.
Definitely we will be parodying most of this. Willie D says clearly Spider Woman.
Yep. Yeah.
It looks like what's Iron Man's Hulk Smasher Hulkbuster. MK says they'll buy it. Just slap a logo on it. Carrot says, "Why does Spider Rex have a mohawk?" Look, if Spider
cool.
Rex has the arm, if Spider Rex has the arm strength to pull himself and swing through the air, I can rock with a mohawk. I'm totally okay with that. MK says, "Wait, so how are those arms working?" What the AF? Yeah, I think this is. I will say that it's a very fertile ground for for us, like trying to be professional yet humorous is very difficult because it could go off the rails very easily with this. But let's see what we've got tonight. I'm gonna.
Well, the Spider Punk also has a mohawk, but it's a mohawk made out of spikes.
Yeah. That's right. There's a Spider Punk. My big problem with all that stuff is just from a branding perspective. Like they're diluting the Spider-Man brand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if there's 30 different Spider-Men or Spider Women or Spider People, if there's like 40 or 50 different Spider People, then it dilutes the specialness of Peter Parker. Right, of the main character, and I think that's going to be a problem for them later on. All right, so I'm going to move some windows around just for people who have their video on. Get the top bill in here. Boop. All right, cool. So here's where we were. Here's where we've been going. So Dusty has actually been doing a lot of work this week. So thank you, Dusty. In combining, so last week we went through some of the character creation processes and how the characters are made and how you could get weaponry and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about some of the game rules tonight, but just to give a little bit of a sneak peek. Let me zoom in on this. Come on, zoom in on this. Oh wait, now it's taking me back to the links. Hold on for a second, guys. I have to remember that the links, it's linking me to World Bible, and so it's pulling me out of the game and pushing me into World Bible. So we'll have to figure that one out.
Still a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. It's fine. Okay. Here we go. So,
Romel, did you take off your Spider-Man thingy?
I did in protest.
Probably hot, man. In protest, he said.
No, I did that in protest.
He's so disgusted. He's just like...
His association was originally with Black History Month, and now he's so tainted.
Yeah, that's right. He was celebrating Black History Month, and we totally ruined it for him. Oh man, don't worry, you still have Blade, bro.
No, don't show him.
Oh! Blade has become a YA character.
Yeah, a young adult.
Yeah, he's tamer than Buffy the Vampire Slayer now.
Yeah. They had him fetching breakfast at one point.
Oh yeah, they made him like a delivery person.
Yeah, they did.
He was basically like an Uber driver or something.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. Anyway, so what we've been doing, what Dusty's been doing this week is he's taken stuff from our World Bible and been putting in here. So we've got, we're not going to go through all this tonight. I just want to kind of set the stage. So we've got the city and social classes and technology and finance and money and banking and how the stuff works. We've got introduction, origins, and you guys, everyone in chat, everyone's going to have access to this very, very soon. We're going to make this public. We just want to kind of work out the kinks a little bit more before we release the first version and get your feedback. So you've got the Gloam, potential effects of compounding realities, which I think is pretty funny. And then what we were working on last week, we worked on character creation, and then we talked a little bit about secret headquarters creation. And so today, I think what we can do is work on, or just kind of review classes and playing the game, and that'll set us up. And then I think they'll probably have like a maybe, hopefully by next week we can have everything edited, though I can't make that promise, but I'll do my best. Does it sound good? We'll jump into playing the game and we'll kind of see how it works.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So general rules. So abilities. There are 5 abilities. You guys know this from the back of the AFS1 card. Like I said, we've been planning a lot of the stuff out since the very beginning. So it's all been in progress and working. So if you look on the back of your AFS1 card, the characters have like old school power bars. And we bumped it up so it's like 100% is as max as you can go. So Primordial is going to have a lot more 100% than, say, Carl, right? Who's more of a human. So that's kind of it's really there to give kind of a range, just to show, like, kind of give an idea of scope. So the 5 abilities are right now. Some of the names may change, but basically it's power, durability, agility, charm, and knowledge. So we may end up changing power to attack and durability to defense, just for how people remember. But really, it's more than attack and defense. It really is about power and durability. So I'm not sure about that. So that's up to chat. Maybe you can give me some insight on that, and everybody here. So when you have for power, the power stat, that's attack, strike, grapple, lift, throw, strength, anything that needs some kind of physical thing. Durability is survivability, force of will, focus, defense, toughness, anything that is a test of kind of durability. Agility, that's pretty self-explanatory. Athletic ability, sneaking, dodging, driving, poise, balancing, speed, right? Then you have charm. Charm is a little bit of the catch-all category. So charm includes things like luck. It includes things like magic, if your character is a magic-based character. But charm also includes things like deception and pressure and convincing and perception and intuition, street smarts, savvy. So anytime you need to make a check on intuition or perception or anything of that nature, it's going to be charm. And then the last one is knowledge. Knowledge is sort of the hard intellect. It's the intelligence, the sciences, the critical thinking skills, understanding, piloting. So if you needed to make in D&D, if you needed to make a history check or a religion check, that would be knowledge, right? So these are kind of like buckets that we can put it in. And just to also fill in the blanks, because I know Romel wasn't here for a minute. And Carrot says, "Oh wait, knowledge is like intelligence." Yeah, 100%. It's exactly right. That's right, Carrots. Charm is like so charm is, he says, charm is like intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Charm is wisdom and charisma, and yeah, knowledge would be intelligence, exactly. And so what we're doing is we're making a rules light game. Something that the challenge is making something that is simple enough for people who have never played an RPG. They can jump in and create characters and actually make lore by playing with us, like as us being the, our whole community group, but deep enough so that if you are, you've been playing games for a while, you'll be able to like jump in. And so we're using. I was inspired by a group called. What were they called? The Stockholm Collective. These guys are out of Sweden, and they've created a couple of games. One of them is Morkborg. Another one is called Cyborg. Really simple rule sets, but really powerful. And then there was another one from the same crew, different people, but affiliated, a game called Dead in Space. That was frickin' one, it was a gorgeous book, but the rule set was really simple and engaging and powerful. So that's kind of where our influences lie, at least right now. So ability checks. So when a player character attempts to resist a hazardous effect or overcome a challenge where the outcome is uncertain and there's a real risk of failure, you're going to be making an ability check by rolling a d20 plus the relevant ability. So you roll a d20, so it's a die with 20 sides, a 20-sided die, and whatever that number comes up with, you're gonna add it to the relevant ability score. And so we talked a little bit before about how to come up with your modifiers. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there's a way to come up with your modifiers that we do when you're creating your character. So you'll get your +1, +2, -1, that kind of thing. So, it's you roll 1d20 plus the relevant ability. If the result is equal to or greater than 12, the task is successful. Otherwise, it fails. On a failure, the player character suffers a complication or setback, right? And so it's pretty simple. You roll a 1d20, you have actually better than 50% chance of succeeding. Really? Well, it's about 50% because you're going to have a ability modifier. So it's about pretty even. Optional ability check rules. To succeed on a test, the player rolls a d20 plus the relevant ability with a result equal to or greater than the difficulty rating. So for certain tasks, let's say Andrew is is GMing, he's running a game, and he has it so that give us a task that's pretty hard, Andrew. Just any character doing anything and saying,
run into a burning building.
Great. So there's a burning building, and you're basically saying, okay, so there's a burning building. You have to get the MacGuffin in the burning building. What do you do? And I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna run into the burning building. Right? That's probably pretty stupid. There could be smarter things, but who knows? Yeah, I'm just gonna run headfirst into this burning building. And so basically, as the GM, in this situation, Andrew could basically roll that ability check against a difficulty. And so you would be able to say, well, how difficult is going into this burning building based on what you're thinking of the game, of what you have planned, right? So rolling a 6 or having a 6 difficulty, it would have happened anyway. So it's like simple tasks. An 8 is obviously anybody can do it. These are fairly routine tasks. 10 is meh, no big deal. That's an easy task. 12 is whoa, nice one, which is like a normal task. 14 that's inconceivable. Inconceivable. Bonus points if anyone can tell me where that's from. That's for difficult tasks.
Princess Bride.
Amen.
Hey, I got one.
You got it. You got it. 16 is GTFO. No, just no. Like extremely hard tasks, right? Like this is like, well, here I'll give you an example. 18, what's real at this point? That's nearly impossible tasks. And rolling, having a difficulty rating of 20, which means you have to beat a 20 or hit a 20 is, whatever, dude, everything's chaos, right? So, Miss Marvel punching Thanos and kind of knocking him out or whatever, kind of nearly beating his ass is probably either a 16 or an 18 difficulty, right? So if that shot from Endgame was in an RPG, and I said, yeah, I'm Miss Marvel, and I'm gonna attack Thanos and just wail on him, even though he's got the Infinity Stones and can snap me out of existence or whatever, that would be a pretty high difficulty rating that I would have to, an ability that I would have to go against. Does that make sense? Pretty good. All right, so it's
makes sense.
Carrot says he did go back and watch the last lore games to catch up. Awesome, man. And yep, he got Princess Bride. KG says 20 is instant kill. Oh wait, that's D&D. Yeah, we have crits in here too. Everything Squirrel Girl does is 20. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're talking about the modern Squirrel Girl, yeah. I did Squirrel Girl. I was the one that actually brought Squirrel Girl back, like back in the day for this thing called All Winter Squad. And we had her actually look pretty awesome. They just clowned her. I don't know. My 2 cents. She could have been a really cool character. But yeah.
Didn't Melissa do a voice?
Huh?
Didn't Melissa do the voice?
Melissa actually did the voice of Squirrel Girl. Yep. She was the voice of Squirrel Girl.
That whole idea you did at Marvel was just such a missed opportunity on their part. It would have been so funny, dude, if they just let it loose.
It really was, but I feel blessed and lucky, and I got away with a lot of shit that I probably shouldn't have. So
yeah, but still, like we were at New York Con, and they had like a whole booth where they were like showing videos of it.
Yeah,
and then next year, that's like, come on, no, it's like, no, this is like Marvel South Park humor. Like, go Adult Swim, go with it.
I know, man. I know. That's okay. Their loss is our gain because a lot of the ideas that I didn't present to them kind of have worked their way into AF. So
yeah.
Opposed rolls. In the case where an attempted task is directly opposed by someone else, roll a 1d20 plus ability value for both involved. Here, let me actually zoom in. I've been meaning to zoom in, guys. Sorry about that. Actually, how about this, Flint? You want to take a minute and read some?
Yeah, sure.
My voice
so
break.
You did opposed rolls?
Yeah, go ahead and read opposed rolls, and it'll make sense to you, I'm sure.
Yeah. So in the case where the attempted task is directly opposed by someone else, you roll 1d20 plus the ability value for both people, and then the highest result wins. In case of a tie, the initiator or most active party wins. Part or party?
Probably party.
Yeah. So very, very similar to D&D rules.
Yeah.
Okay. So advantage and disadvantage. So in D&D we have something where, like, if you have the high ground, you might have advantage, or if two characters are attacking an enemy and they're on either side of the enemy, you're flanking, right? So you might do an advantage, and basically it's basically roll twice and take the better result for advantage, or disadvantage is you roll twice and take the worst result.
Right, like a disadvantage is usually, like, at least when I play, is like if you're engaged with an opponent and you decide to like back up or run away, you're gonna have disadvantage and they're gonna get an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, or your character has a broken leg and you're trying to climb over a ledge or something. Well, you might get a disadvantage on your ability check to see if you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool. We're doing inventory management. Okay, cool. Player character has 12 plus their power item slots. So it changes with your strength, essentially. Items typically take up 1 item slot, but things that are especially heavy, such as armor, heavy weapons, can take up more. And smaller items can be stacked, so you can group them together into 1 slot.
So this is something that I have a question about, because as you know, and I know Zach plays a lot of D&D too, like and everyone else like Ramel and Andrew and Avery can probably imagine. So when you're creating this kind of stuff and adding stuff, it can get very deep very quickly, right? So my question with I kind of went back and forth on item slots, only because there's a lot of that type of management, at least in the games I play, everybody ignores.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, everyone in chat and everyone on the panel, like what we feel about item slots. The pros and cons. The pros of item slots in my mind is that it's a little more realistic, where you can only carry so much.
Yeah,
right? If you carry too much, you slow down.
Yeah, item management can be damn near a game itself. For sure.
The negative, that's the pros. The cons is that, again, after X number of years playing D&D, I think I've been in one campaign where I was actually required to, like, after using a bow and arrow, going up to the victim and pulling out the bow. Otherwise, I would, lose the arrow. Or sorry, I would lose the arrow.
Right.
I'd have to.
Dear.
Well, I'd
say
I'd say.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go. You're back.
Super choppy. We lost you for a sec.
Hold on. I'm gonna freeze for 1 second. I'm gonna take. It's my VPN probably. Let me turn my VPN off. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on.
How many times you gotta learn this lesson? Yeah, I think it's an interesting problem to solve, right? Because
I guess
there we go.
I've been, in all the years I've been playing, I think I've had one DM who was persnickety enough to ever really impose, to ever actually enforce. I forget what game it was, but there were rules about encumbrance. It might have been 3.5. No one's ever really done that. I mean, I think generally speaking, the rule is just use common sense. Yes, you can carry whatever you're carrying, but it's not Grand Theft Auto. You're not going to be carrying a rocket launcher, an M16 and like 50 separate pistols.
Well, or maybe you are, because of the whole like Venture Brothers meets 90s X-Men. Like, if you look at a character like Cable, he's got 18 cannons, pouches, guns, and it doesn't.
You could make that like an option or a feat they can take. Like unlimited ammo, or say this person has the ability to generate like a pocket dimension around him in which you can store his stuff. So
that's exactly what I was getting to. Yeah.
I just my experience has been when I started DMing Dungeons and Dragons, I had it in my head that I was going to be real strict about item management and keeping track of ammo counts and number of arrows and that sort of thing. And man, that lasted like 2 sessions, because it just wasn't fun for everybody. It wasn't fun for me. It wasn't fun for the players. And honestly, a lot of the problems. I'm getting deep into D&D, so sorry. But
it's good.
But a lot of the problems that the problem that encumbrance is meant to solve is preventing a player from having 18 different tools to approach a situation, right? Switching from a sword to an axe to a sniper rifle to a laser gun, you limit, encumbrance is meant to limit those options and make it, make you have to be creative in combat. But D&D kind of has another tool for that, which is attunement, which is basically like, if you're going to use the super powerful sword, well, you need to go practice with it a little bit, and then you can be good with that sword. right? And you can only have 3 items that I think it's 3 that you're attuned with. And like, yeah, you can use that 4th sword, but you're gonna suck at it, you know. And really, I think, you know, a lot of D&D games keep the attunement rules and don't keep the encumbrance rules, just because it's a lot less complicated, you know. And it kind of serves that same function of keeping you from being, you know, Doom guy with 50 different weapons at your disposal, you know.
So, is this something we should? I guess. What's the takeaway?
You know, I think I'm personally opposed to item slots, just because I think no one's actually going to do it.
Okay, I'm fair with that. Does everyone feel like that's something we can?
I will devil's advocate what I just said though, and say that your version of this is much simpler than D&D's. You know.
Yeah, I really like the rules light. Carrot says could leave the rule in and just be aware most people will ignore it. It could be an optional. It could be an optional.
That's totally fair. Yeah.
The only thing is if we make it optional, we still have to log it. So like when we do weapons, when we actually keep a weapons log, we have to list like how many slots it takes up. But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's just an extra thing you have to balance, you know.
Yeah,
I have a question. I just want to toss out there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's say, for example, you have an item slot. Is it possible, like, to limit the use of the item? Like, say, you can only use this item for, like, maybe a limited time or whatever, something like that. But it handicaps your overall. Because, like I said, I've never played D&D and nothing like that, but the most basic understanding of characters is that you have, say, you have a bar that equals 100, and you could fill it with different attributes, but there has to be like a balance of good versus handicap and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're good with this, then there has to be a balance or a handicap on the opposite end. Or else you just have overpowered characters they're just tanking everybody.
Yeah, that's you know, it's totally a thing. And you know, in D&D with a lot of really powerful weapons and spells and that sort of thing, it's limited use. You know, like you might have a sword and it's a regular sword, but 1 time per day you can shoot lightning out of it. You know. And so, yeah, you have this really powerful ability that can wreck, but you can only do it once that day. And so you have to really think about when you want to use it, you know?
And also some of these weapons, especially in some of these game lights, you might be able to have a powerful weapon that you can only use once, but it also may drain your energy for X number of rounds. You know what I mean? It might actually leave you defenseless, like, for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Like an example would be like Captain America's shield. So if you were Captain America and you were going to throw the shield, well, you certainly could play it where it's like, oh, it hits the bad guy and comes back to you, you know, classic style. Or you could say, well, it'll take out as many guys as you need. It'll hit like 2 or 3 guys or go 30 feet or whatever, but it's going to take a round to come back to you. So if someone hits you, right, while your shield is out in the field coming back like a boomerang, you're going to get hit because you're going to just do a melee because you're not going to have like your shield to protect you, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, because you're taking advantage of an opening.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I threw the shield, if I'm Captain America and you're Red Skull, and I throw the shield at some of your henchmen, and while that shield is hitting the henchmen, you come up and like start shooting me, well, I'm probably going to get hit, or I'll have some kind of disadvantage to get hit because I no longer have the shield at least that point in time for that round, right? So it's kind of like that's one of the things that's really cool about RPGs is that it's a way to play in real time events that could possibly happen, right? But that's also why it can get really rules heavy really quick, right? because then you're like, well, certain times a day and limitations and rest periods and like all kinds of stuff. It can get really deep. And I think there's a place for that, but I think for us, because our end goal is to like create characters and have these characters tell great stories, that can be then kind of morphed into other things. Like it kind of makes sense that we're a little more on the rules light side. But awesome. That's a great feedback, guys. Thank you, everyone. Karis, appreciate it. Reactions and first impressions. I'll take this one. So if the reaction of a non-player character or NPC or creature that the players encounter is uncertain, meaning they don't know what the reaction is, like it's a good guy, we don't know, the GM can roll a 2d6 and consult the following table. So if you introduce a character, or the GM introduces a character, and Romel's character says or does something to that character, and the reaction is uncertain, meaning this is really like a help guide for the GM, right? If the GM's like, I have no idea how this character's gonna react, then they can roll a die, and it can be hostile, unfriendly, frustration, anger, uncertain, indifference, confusion, talkative, curiosity, almost friendly, or helpful, asking for help, right? I love, like, it's just I love tables like this where it just helps make a decision, right? Like Romel's character goes up to a barmaid and asks her, just basically straight up propositions her, right? That's not that's
totally something my character would do.
100%. This is why I'm bringing it up. And so like if Flint, for instance, was the GM, he's probably not prepared for that, right? So he doesn't have like an answer, like, oh yeah, like he doesn't know. It's like a barmaid. It's not like he fleshed out the character. So then he could roll a die and he would be like, oh, you got a 7. So she looks at you with complete confusion and she's really not, she has no clue what you're talking about, right? And at least that would move the story on a little bit, right? So I love stuff like that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. It can be very situational. Like you might roll a die and end up with an answer that doesn't fit the situation.
Right.
And I don't know how to solve that, but I like the idea. Yeah, because you're right. A lot of times players you expect your players to go one direction and then go in an entirely different direction. And you have to scramble to figure out how you're going to react. So stuff like this is very helpful.
Awesome. Carrot says, my wife must roll a 7 every day when I speak to her. Yeah, I think that's just marriage. I think it's just marriage. I mean, no. I mean, clearly, every day in our household, it's an 11. It's fine.
What?
I like how in your scenario, 11 is just almost friendly.
Well, it was 11. Yeah, almost friendly. Well, talkative, curious, right?
She is putting up with you, so.
Yeah. All right, combat. Flint, you want to take a round?
Yeah, sure. So combat is structured into rounds. A round is enough time to traverse a normal sized room and attack once or take another type of action. I like that it's not just a fixed number of seconds.
Right, or
That's
feet.
Kind of nice. Yeah. 10 rounds make up about a minute. In each round, every participant gets 1 turn each. Enemies and opponents don't roll in combat. Instead, players roll both to attack and defend. So in other RPGs like D&D, if a player is, getting attacked by an enemy, for example, usually the GM will do that roll. Here, the player is doing all rolls, their rolls to attack and their rolls to defend. That way everything's out in the open.
And it's also more active, which I love.
Yeah, it keeps the players involved and keeps the load less on the DM too, which is always very nice.
It's like when your parents made you go pick your own Switch. how bad are you going to get beat?
You're not wrong.
Y'all just don't know. You can't go find the weakest switch ever.
Yeah, I used to
it's going to be bad.
Yeah, my stepdad used to take me outside, and I'd pick up. He'd be like, pick a switch, and I'd pick up like a little twig on the ground, and he was like, no. And like he would just reach up to like this heavy ass branch and like,
oh god,
rip it off, and like, oh my god.
Yeah,
just straight uproot the tree, like.
That's right. Yeah. And it would always be like the branch that was like, like fully wet and soggy, so it had a nice bend to it.
Oh, dude! Oh,
it never snapped. The damn thing never broke. Yeah. Carrot says, "Don't pick the wimpy teeny ones." Yeah, man, you can't do that anymore. Nope, you got to go for the freaking real switches. Anyway, we don't do that anymore. That's old time thinking, right?
Shit. Have you seen these kids these days?
I didn't say they don't deserve it. I didn't say they don't deserve it. Just saying you don't do it, unfortunately. Initiative and turnover.
Anyways.
Initiative and turnover. You want me to take this one? I'll take it. Okay.
Go for it.
The one who initiates the conflict begins the first combat round. If unclear, determine using the table below. 1 and 3, enemies act first. 4 and 6, PCs act first. If necessary, agility plus D6 to determine who acts first within the group. So that's basically just turn order. This process continues with the remaining players until all participants have acted once in the round. The last person to act chooses who begins the next round. They also can choose themselves, which I think is a really interesting mechanic. This method of determining turn order reinforces the idea of the player characters as a crew acting together, since they can choose a turn order that combines their actions in a strategic manner.
Oh, that's
pretty clever. Yeah. I kind of like that versus, in D&D, for example, everyone rolls and it's just in straight order of like, what did you roll?
Right.
This is interesting.
It also keeps players at the table awake.
Yes.
Right. There's
which is a big problem.
You go first, there's like 8 people deep, and you're like, cool. I hit him with my sword. And then you just that person, they turn their camera off for like 15 minutes.
I cast magic missile.
Yeah. All right, Flint, you can take this one.
Cool. Attack rolls. So when you're attacking someone, you roll a die to figure out whether you hit. Melee, you roll a d20, a 20-sided dice, and you add the player's power to roll the hit to see whether you hit, and then you roll for damage. For ranged, you have 2 different types of weapons. So single shots, you add players' knowledge to the roll, and then roll for damage. And auto fire, you add their agility to the roll, and then roll for damage. And then you can also do a second attack. So you roll the hit, do damage, potentially roll the hit again, and do damage again. And you can choose different targets, which is kind of cool. I'm assuming all of this is rolling against armor class.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that distinction. I keep on comparing to D&D, so I'm sure I'm sounding like a broken record.
No, but everyone, it's the best comparison.
It's the best comparison. Yeah, I like. In D&D, you have some character classes that can do. By default, you can only hit once per turn, right? And some character classes can hit, twice. If you're a barbarian, for example, you can hit twice if you're leveled up appropriately. So I like the idea of recasting that as it's the type of weapon that you're using. That's kind of cool.
Awesome.
I have a question. Let's say your character has like is a type with like say Spiral has 6 arms.
Yep.
And can wield a different weapon in each arm. So how would that attack go?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that is tricky.
Well,
I
go ahead.
If it were left up to DM discretion, I would probably say, like, yeah, you can carry that number of weapons,
But you hit
yeah, it's kind of a focus thing at that point, right? You can't, in real life, you can't really aim to, you can put a weapon in each hand, but you can't really aim them well. You can't aim them properly. You do one and then the other, right? I'd probably do something similar.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be counted, and just off the top, I think it would be counted as you'd still only be able to take one turn and hit like one, like it'd still be a single shot. You may just be able to. Basically, it would be like switching weapons. Like if you had 2 swords and 2 guns, and then a grenade and a I don't know, something else. You'd basically be able to pick what combination, but it would still be like one hit.
Or what you could do.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What you could do is that would tank your stamina. Let's say if I had a character that like Spiral, if I had a Spiral type character that has 6 arms, 6 weapons, whatever. So depending on the attack that I perform, that would greatly chew up my stamina to where a point to where it's like I'd have to wait like maybe 4 turns, or let's say 6 turns, in order to create enough stamina to attack or get the use of all 6 of my arms or some shit like that.
Yeah, or just to keep it even more because that's actually pretty accurate, I think, to how a lot of games would do it. I think another way you could do it to keep them in a more of a simplified role would be like if you had a Spiral character and they had multiple guns, right? Like also Striker from Cyberforce, right? Wasn't that the character's name? Something like that. The dude with 6 arms, I don't remember. Or he had like 4 arms, I don't remember.
He had like 3 on one side and 1
right, and then 1 on the other, something like that. Yeah, like it would be that might actually then count as an auto fire. Like you might get advantage even if it was a single fire gun. It wasn't like like an automatic weapon or something. Like you might actually get the boost based on the character that you created. You might get the boost of auto fire, like automatically, because you could fire multiple. I think there's a few ways to do it, without making it, without trying to.
Yeah, like a roll for how many hit.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, maybe if you had more than one weapon, the potential damage would go up, but the accuracy could go down. So maybe it skews the dice roll to where you have to roll
Just
like
like a
really high
disadvantage.
to get a better hit.
Right.
But the maximum hit would be much higher, maybe.
So,
That makes
question: does switching weapons require an action?
That's a great question. I don't think I because it's rules light, I don't think so.
Okay. The reason I ask is if you do have a requirement where switching weapons is an action, then the bonus for having multiple arms is
would be like you get that as a bonus action.
Yeah, or you don't need to switch at all. You just have it in your
Right.
hand, right?
Right.
So instead of doing a turn where you're shooting one weapon and then doing a turn where you're switching weapons and then a turn where you're firing your second weapon, it's just one turn is weapon A, one turn is weapon B.
Yeah.
It's simple,
That's a good way to think of it. Maybe is that something that's GM discretion, or is that something we should write up?
It's funny because I think that rule maybe isn't in the player handbook for D&D, but I know everyone does it.
Right.
Like a lot of games I've played have homebrew like table rules for it's a action or it's a bonus action.
Maybe we that's something that we could actually game out as a play test.
It might be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because I think Ramel that's a great question. That's exactly what this is about. Is like how can we break this, and like what are some things that might come up that we're not going to be able to think about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a fantastic question.
Yeah, the down is a great question. Yeah, the downside of doing an action to change weapons is it slows the game down. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. I have another kind of a paradox I like to table. Let's say same character. I have a spiral type character, 6 arms again. However, per attack, say I'm only using two arms to attack. Say I got 2 guns, but I got 4 shields. So I'm creating a shield, but using 2 arms to actually attack. Yeah, I'm attacking and defending at the same time. So how do we?
It would in that case, basically, because in this game you were rolling for attack and you're rolling for defense, you would actually have a bonus on your defense. So you would roll for the attack, and we would figure out how that attack happens, considering that there's 2 arms, or whether what Flint's saying about the actions makes sense. But we basically figure out how to do that. Let's just say it's one action. So you get the action and you shoot the bad guy. The bad guy's friend, meanwhile, it's his turn and he's firing at you. Well, you already have your shield up, so then you would be able to, you would roll, and you would already have that armor added to, you would have that armor class added, so your defense would be there, right? Does that kind of make sense? Like once you like in D&D, like once you carry a shield, it's just, you don't really have to say, oh, I take my shield off my back and I hold it. You can, and you probably should, but most players, at least the ones I've played with, it's like if I'm like I have a sword and a shield, it's just assumed that shield is like defending at most of the time.
Yeah, so it's just if your defense is 15, the shield might be a +2. So if anyone is trying to hit you, they have to beat a 17 to hit you.
Right.
Or you can say shield or armor active or inactive. Active meaning it's you're holding it. Inactive mean it's mounted on your back or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
totally.
That can be up to you for sure. There are especially with a character like Spiral, she could be active all the time. That might be a character bonus to her, whereas a character with 2 arms would have to make a decision of holding a shield and a weapon, or a shield or just 2 weapons, and have to take an action to take the shield off the back. And there's a few different ways we could do that. Yes, good question. Very good. Excellent. Throwing rocks. That's great. So defense rating. The defense rating basically is in D&D. This would be armor class or AC. The defense rating is 12 plus your durability modifier, which is anywhere usually from -3 to +3 for an unarmored person, and then can be increased with armor, meaning you can buy armor and increase your defense, your durability. Flint, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So risky attacks deal more damage to the opponent, but exposes the player character to counterattacks. So if you roll a standard attack roll, if you're successful, the attack deals an extra damage die. And if it fails, the target opponent gets an immediate counterattack opportunity. And chooses who acts next in the round instead of the attacker. That's interesting. So is that I'm choosing to make a risky attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I say if there's a bad guy walking below you in an alley and you decide to jump off the roof onto the attacker, that's kind of like a risky attack.
Okay, so it's kind of up to the GM.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to be like that, or if it was going to be, a situational thing that the GM decides, or something like, for barbarians in D&D, you have reckless attacks, right?
Oh, right. No, it's way simpler.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for reference, for reckless attacks, it's something that the player can choose to do. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm going to recklessly attack this person. I think you get an extra attack against that person. I think don't if that's not it, don't at me. But I'm pretty sure that's if I recall, that's how that works. But the downside is the next attack against you, it gets advantage.
Yeah.
Carrot said, I think that makes sense.
Carrot says, "Oh, it's not player." He said, "Risky attack is kind of like an all-out attack in GURPS. It can lead to some fun outcomes. I like it." And then he says, "Oh, it's not a player-declared risky attack, but more situational." Okay, so different. Well, the player can decide if it's a risky. The player can decide the attack, and I think it's one of those things that's situationally dependent, right? Like
the player gets to decide how stupid their attack is.
That's right.
And the GM will punish them for it.
That's right. The GM can say, "Yeah, that's pretty risky," and the player can be like, "Yeah, I know, let's do it." Right? Like I think it's probably going to be. It's most of the time. I think it's probably going to be it's going to be a known thing, right?
Yeah.
Drone combat
that works as long as the GM says like, "Hey, this is what you're about to do is stupid."
Right, and then, this is also why you can also combine it with the difficulty rating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna attack Primordial's ankle. And you're like, okay, well, that's pretty risky, and you're gonna have a difficulty of 20. So good luck.
Yeah.
I'll do drone combat. So drones are capable of attacking do so either under the direct control of the pilot using their action and score, or using some kind of AI with a flat D20 roll against a DR12, difficulty rating of 12. So I think it could be cool to have drones in here, because why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Does it belong in the core rule set? It almost sounds like it almost sounds like an item description.
It could be an item description. Yeah, fair enough. I can push this into an item description.
I like the idea.
Like item description. Actually, fair.
Yeah, I think having drones would be really cool.
Right. And I don't know, everything goes back to cable for me, and for some reason, like there's always like weird floating drones and all kinds of cool shit. You know what I mean?
Oh
yeah. And our universe is decently sci-fi.
Yeah.
Talking about multiverses and why not have drones?
Why not? Crits natural. Crit is a natural 20. If you crit on attack, it's double the damage, and the target's armor or cover is also reduced by 1 tier. We can talk about armor tiers later. Defense, if you crit on defense, then the player character gets a free attack.
When does that 1 tier reduction wear off, or does it?
Good question. Probably doesn't, just because I think it's the rules light.
Yeah.
But a critical attack is pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
It probably depends on what you're attacking to, though, right?
Yeah, I can see it depends on what the intent is, right? If a crit is, you're reducing the armor because, you broke a shield or you cut the armor or something. I can see that being like, okay, it's reduced by 1 tier until you go get it repaired, right?
Yeah.
But if it's something like you got hit and now you have permanent damage on your body, that could be something else, right?
Right. Maybe we just keep it
not going to heal.
Damage.
Huh?
Maybe we just keep it to double damage temporarily.
I like the idea of reducing the AC or the defense. I think that's really interesting.
Okay.
Because in D&D, you get a critical hit. Yeah, you get a lot of damage on you, but then you shrug it off like everything's fine afterwards. It's your character is fully mobile and active until they die. That's kind of silly,
Right. So maybe like permanence is up to GM or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that rule a lot. I think that's really clever.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Botched natural 1. If you botched your attack, you roll a 1d6. 1 to 3, you're out of ammo. You also drop the weapon or otherwise make it unusable until an action is spent fixing it. 4 to 5, your weapon misfires or breaks. It has to be repaired outside of combat. 6, your weapon explodes or otherwise hurts you for D6 damage beyond repair. So if you roll a natural 1 and you crit, you're pretty screwed.
Yeah.
If
that's fun,
right? On defense, the player character takes double damage and armor cover is reduced by 1 tier, and then I'll copy. Permanence is up to the GM. So enemies in combat, stats wise, an enemy has a durability rating, hit points, and morale, and either a power bonus or ability values for humanoid creatures, with agility and knowledge used for melee and range attacks. I know I say melee, by the way. I know it's melee.
I've been biting my tongue.
No, I just say melee. I also say Paladin.
Oh.
Paladin?
Yeah. Ever since
sounds like an Andrew word.
Yeah. I don't know why. Paladin. I've said that since I was a kid. I don't know why. It's really bad. I know. It's painful. It's very painful. Hey, what's up, 2K? How you doing?
Hey, 2K.
It's Paladin.
If you say so.
Tomato.
That's what I'm saying, man. Enemies in combat. So if no value is presented for an ability, assume it to be 0. Non-player characters of less importance have 0 in all abilities. Basically, the enemies don't have crazy stats because they don't need to have crazy stats. One of the things that I really am excited about is this next one, though, which is morale. Whenever circumstances require the morale of a non-player character or enemy to be tested, you can roll a 2d6 against their morale rating. So they'll have a morale rating. If the result is higher than the morale, the enemy attempts to surrender, flee, or parlay. Examples of events that trigger morale rolls for enemies are defeating half of an enemy group, reducing a lone enemy to half their maximum hit points, defeating the leader of the group. In addition, contractors test. So contractors, meaning if there's like hired guns that you're going up against, they test morale if they are not paid or if they are pushed into peril.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a great idea.
Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves with other RPGs I played is a lot of times the GM doesn't factor that in. Like if you're fighting a group of goblins and you're down to 1 and you just saw all of his buddies just getting annihilated.
Yeah.
He should run.
Right.
And a lot of times people just kind of forget that and just go through the entire combat,
Well, I think the reason why it actually isn't included in a lot of games is it's more work for the DM and the player because it's one more stat they got to worry about. I mean, sure. you only really see that in war games like 40K or actually that's really the only war game that matters, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I would include that as an optional rule, to be honest.
Okay.
Because if you make it a requirement in the game, it'll help.
I like it,
but it's just. I mean, if you want to make the game as simple as possible,
that's fair.
Try. You want the GM to have as few things to worry about. For example, I mean, I just got a copy of the Starfinder core rules. I figured I'd give it a run after Wizards basically, shat the bed with the OGL. But having read it, I realized there's no way I can run this with green players. With green players, because the rules it's so stats heavy that there's no way you can remember everything.
Right.
And so that's the thing about D&D 5e. It's pretty stripped down, and it's not that hard to get a game going compared to like previous editions. So.
No, I think that's okay. I think that I think the enemy may attempt to, instead of the enemy attempts to, you say the enemy may attempt to surrender, flee, or parlay up to the GM, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's totally acceptable.
Yeah, I'm good with it being optional too. I like it being there just as a reminder, like, hey, this is a thing that can happen.
Yeah, I really like the idea of this, because one of my pet peeves is like, yeah, you're to what first, Carrots, by the way, says Paladin was my favorite Disney D&D crossover movie. Oh, yeah. MK says morale, good idea. I mean, when you're 20-1, agree. And this is kind of my thing, is like you're playing this horde and you beat them, and there's the last guy, and everyone kind of knows they won. Like the whole party knows they just won, but yet they have to go through the motion of killing the last guy. I kind of like it, like the option where if you kill 20 characters, there's like 1 or 2 left or something, or 3, and it's obvious that the party's going to win, that this obstacle is done, then the GM can kind of like either choose to play it out and these characters get wiped out, or can change it a little bit. Maybe one of them tries to surrender while the others try to run away. At least it's kind of speeding up the game a little bit,
Right. It makes it more interesting too.
Yeah, there's some really interesting situations I think that could come up with that. When the smoke clears, describe your kill. This is, as far as I know, describe your kill is a Brooklyn rule. Do you ever do describe your kill, Flint?
As far as I'm aware, it kind of became a meme because of Critical Role, but it might be older than that. It's kind of a, how do you want to do this?
It's been in Brooklyn for, I mean, when I first played, they said it was a Brooklyn rule, like, because the guys I was playing with were always like, describe your kill. And, Zach knows this, like, I chop the head off and there's blood spurting everywhere and then he blows up.
I used to have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
so I always loved to describe.
But as I recall, that was really our friend Matt Yordine's thing, not really anyone else. So that might have
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. That's why it's probably a Brooklyn rule. But I loved it, and everyone seemed to really like it. Everyone loved it because it gave a little bit of like, I don't know. It's really fun to describe that stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, the player may choose to describe how their opponent met their end in detail. Count your bullets. Roll a D8 or D6 if you use auto fire. For each weapon you have fired, a result of 1 to 3 indicates your mag is empty and has to be replaced. If there's still time, catch your breath via short rest, hydrate, take 5, and then basically restore D4 HP. So this is optional combat mods, which maybe some of the other options like the drones could go in here. This is like, so suppressive fire. Do you want to check this out, Flint, and read this and tell me what you think?
Yeah. Okay, so when firing from cover that can withstand gunfire, such as behind a wall, crate, or similar, you can choose to be partly or fully covered. I assume the GM is choosing that, right?
Yeah.
Based off of the environment. Attacks against a partly covered person have disadvantage. Person full cover cannot be attacked, but is shielded from. Oh, cannot attack, but is shielded from all ranged attacks. I think that makes sense. D&D has similar rules. For ranged attacks. I like the twist that you have to go and choose to be partly out of cover in order to attack. I think that's clever. Is that an action, or is that I guess that's probably movement, right?
Yeah, it's probably movement, and movement in the game isn't defined as feet, so they can just do it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Shields are bulky and provide full cover for the bearer and can partly cover one more person, but they require 2 hands. Yeah, that makes sense. Do all shields require 2 hands, or do you need to use 2 hands to?
No, this is just optional, right? This is like if you wanted to make it a little more challenging or a little more advanced.
Yeah, that one's tricky because you're either choosing. You're kind of choosing between being shielded but doing nothing.
Right.
It's something you'd have to play test out. I'm not sure how that'll work.
Okay, fair enough. I can And we could also get rid of it if we don't want it.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. When you say shields, what will you do against, say, like barriers or force fields?
Right. Well, there's the issue, right? Because we're not just dealing with like physical shields.
Right.
That's why this rule might not work actually. So, because it's different. There's different types of shields. So maybe
I imagine the different types of shields will end up having their own rules. Like, a force field, you can use it for 2 rounds and then it goes away. Or, it's a +2, it's +2 to your AC, but if you get hit, it goes down,
Right. All right. So maybe I'll cut the shields part because that doesn't really apply. Or it could apply, but it could be complicated.
I love your aiming rule.
Awesome.
It kind of feels like holding your breath to study your aim,
Yeah.
That's cool. I dig that. I might steal that for my home game.
Awesome.
I think that's rad as hell.
Awesome. Range, close range is arm's length or less. Long range is farther than a room away. Plus 2 DR difficulty when firing at close range. Auto fire deals +2 damage at close range, -2 at long range.
So this is just for ranged weapons, right?
Right.
Yeah, because in D&D there's a concept of range for melee weapons too. So.
Oh, Carrots agrees the aiming rule is a good one. Awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking sick. I really like it.
Awesome. Hits always hurt. This is again optional stuff. Hits always hurt. Hits always deal a minimum of 1 damage, regardless of armor reduction or other negative damage modifiers, unless that would bring a character down to 0. So you can't kill the person, but you could always like if you find that through armor and all this kind of stuff that it's actually kind of bouncing bullets everywhere because everyone's armored up, you could probably you could use a hits always hurt kind of thing, right? To feel like a concussive hit.
That makes sense.
That or disorientation.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Say like you take a hit and you're disoriented and you can't aim or something like that.
I like that. Maybe if they hit 0, if it brings down to 0 or it brings down to 1, they get disoriented or something.
It's whatever you want to make it.
I want to think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'll put a note.
Because the reason why I say that, let's say I have a character and you have a gun. I don't necessarily have a weapon, but I have something, say like that generates an ear-piercing sound that disorientates my opponent. So therefore he cannot focus or aim his attack at me accurately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Like yeah, okay. So maybe there's like an agility, disadvantage or something.
Yeah. Or an attack disadvantage.
And that's another thing with agility. Like say if you have a strong attack, let's say my opponent has a strong ass gun that but it's like say a flintlock gun to where you can only fire like maybe 1 round for like 4 turns or some shit like that, but it's devastating when it hits. But I have agility, so there's a very low probability he's going to hit me with that particular weapon because I move so fast.
Right.
So
yeah, okay. I could see that. That would make sense. Cool. Yeah, okay. Avery. You around?
Yeah, what? What?
You want to read Suppressive Fire?
Suppressive fire. Spend a mag using an automatic weapon to suppress up to D3 targets. Suppress player characters can either get out of the way, running, hunkering in, etc. Add 4 to dexterity to their next action. Stand their ground.
So sorry, plus 4 DR is difficulty.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Go for it.
Stand their ground against the difficulty auto fire, difficulty 14. Suppress the NPC's morale. Success, they stand their ground and become the target of a 10 auto fire back attack. Failure, get out of the way, -4 to defend. Damn. Against their attack next round.
So they can choose whether to do one or the other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess you could like flip a coin to a D2, but yeah, I kind of like the idea where they make a choice. Because then you can also play like some stand their ground, some get out of the way, and then because that's like a real firefight, people kind of make up their own minds about things. And then all hell breaks loose.
I think the only criticism I have is there's no D3. You need a D4 or D2.
Oh, fair enough.
I was racking my brain. I was like, is there a D3? Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, no, that is fair enough. It probably is a D3. It's probably just like
it probably is, yeah.
Weird looking die.
Someone in the comments is gonna be like, well, actually.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There you go. Up to D4 is fine. I think D4 makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good catch. Good catch, sir. Cool. So we hit time, but I'm just gonna I think some of these are really quick. I'll just go through this really quick. Death and healing. So death, when someone ends up at 0 or less hit points, they are dying and must immediately roll a D8. So at 0 hit points, you roll the D8. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you fall unconscious for D4 rounds, and then you awaken with D4 hit points. If you roll a 3 or a 4, you're testing your charm against a difficulty rating of 10. If you succeed, you're unconscious as above, but if you fail, it's a critical injury as below. So a 5 or 6, which is critical injury, you roll on the body table to see where you were hit. I'm going to show you what the body table is. The body part is destroyed and has to be replaced or regrown. At the moment, you are unable to act for D4 rounds, then become active with D4 HP. If you roll a 7, you have a hemorrhage, death in D4 hours unless you're treated. All tests are against a difficulty rating of 16 for the first hour. And then you have a difficulty rating of 18 the last hour. It means you're really, really dying there. 8, if you crit on the roll and you hit an 8, you're dead unless you can pay C- HP. So you're dead unless you can pay. Negative HP, if you have a personal bank account with at least 1,000 BAMF, there is a 50% chance for an emergency response team to reach you in time to save your life if you are at 0 or -1 HP. Add an additional 0 to the bill for each negative HP thereafter.
So mean.
For each negative HP, you will spend D6 days in intensive care afterward, but you will be alive. And of course, after a player character dies, let the player create a new character who can join the crew as soon as possible.
Love it.
It's so cruel.
It's so cruel.
Cool. Feedback. Healing and long rests. Eat, drink, and sleep for a full night in a safe place and restore D6 HP. If you don't eat, you are unable to recover HP, and each day without food or drink, you lose D4 HP. All tests are a +2 difficulty rating per day without rest. Right? Yeah, Carrot says there's a lot to the death rules to unpack. LOL. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff because I understand the purpose of saving rolls and like death saves, but like I don't know, man. I like the
There's
idea.
No flavor to it.
You just I like just like rolling for it and seeing what happens a few times, and let's see. And then I think the body chart I think I showed the other night. So I think that's actually up in a different area.
I like the healing mechanic.
Yeah, the healing is
like you can get you can heal naturally for over a long time. Synthetic parts, cyborg part. I like all that.
Yeah, I do too. You can like start replacing yourself, and like so you can start to morph your body and kind of transform. Carrot says might be better to just die instead of living in lifelong BAMF debt slavery.
There should be a rule in there where if you have a lot of money and you spend it all to save your life, you can still end up dead. Because it doesn't always work.
Is it you still have you still have to roll for a chance that it could kill you? Like
yeah.
The emergency response team roll a you could do you could roll like a d6 to and like if you roll a 1 or if you roll a 1, it's actually like the emergency response team is a mistake. Like they're not real doctors.
Even if you're Tony Stark or Elon Musk, they can still screw up and you can still end up dead at the end.
That's true. Can we add that? What do you think?
Yeah.
Different tiers of surgeons. So you have like your chances of surviving.
You can, if it's more BAMF than you actually have, you can still do it, but then like debt collectors come after you and try to kill you.
Yeah.
Like mafia or something.
There's the clinic and then there's the hospital. So there's like two different pay scales.
It's clinic, hospital, back alley.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You got a guy doing a surgery out of a hotel room.
Yeah, or a van.
Yeah.
Van surgery, back alley.
Oh, carrots! No.
Coffee enema.
But you only get a coffee enema.
Never enough, man. Oh my god, that's hilarious, guys. Was it van surgery, back alley? Hospital, of course.
Clinic, emergency clinic, urgent care.
A portable pre-set up clinic like what's his name, Gus Fring had in Breaking Bad.
Like van?
No,
it's like a legit mobile clinic.
Yeah.
24-hour.
Like a mobile triage.
Sure.
You remember? I don't know if you all saw Sin City 2, which was not a great movie. Remember what's his name had his fingers broke, and he went to that back alley surgeon that he fixed splits with popsicle sticks, but he had to eat them first.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a terrible adaptation.
That really was.
It was a terrible movie. Period.
The first one was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand the problem. It was like, why was this not difficult?
This was pretty easy.
Well, remember they did the same thing with 300. They did a sequel to 300, and that
they did a sequel to 300.
Yeah.
Yes.
How?
Didn't they?
There was a captain that took his ships and did the same thing someplace else.
Wasn't the sequel to 300 and a lot of Sin City 2 did not have come from Frank Miller's source material? It was created for the movies.
Something like that. Yeah, I think the Sin City 2 did have some stuff from his source material, and he might have been involved with writing it.
And they
Well,
tried to jam too many stories together also for the second one.
Well, like in Sin City 1, the whole subplot about his wife, all that drama that happened while they were at war, that happened back at the city and so forth, none of that was in the source material. That was all created for the movie.
Wait, what happened?
You remember in 300 where the one guy came to the queen and said, we'll back your play, but you have to sleep with me, and she agrees to do it, and then he pulls her out and says she's a whore and all that. None of that was
Dominic West. I think.
none of that was in the original source material.
The second one that wasn't based on any of his work, but it was based on historically on the Battle of Salamis, and the hero was Themistocles, who was the leader of the Athenians in that battle, and Ava Green played Queen Artemisia of Halicarnassus, who was a real person, and was one of the only female leader to lead her. Like she led a contingent of flux ships in the Persian Navy, and supposedly, when she saw the battle was turning against them, she basically turned the people around and basically fled, and basically fought their way through the Greeks to get out. And Darius, Xerxes, the Persian emperor, was watching this from the mainland. Yes, I'm a history major, by the way, so that's why. So, supposedly saw us and said, I know we've lost because my men have turned into women, and my women have turned into men. She was considered pretty fearsome by the standards of the time, which tells you something. But it wasn't a good movie.
What's interesting is the fact you pointed out Eva Green was in both sequels, Sin City 2 and 300.
The sequel that was actually based on an actual story, because I read that one. She played the wife of the mobster who was killed by not Marv, the other guy, Dwight. It was like that. Sin City 2, like they took Dwight's origin story, and that was like an actual story that he wrote about how he was a photographer who was basically framed for the death of Eva Green's husband. And
Damian Lord.
Yeah.
MK says the sequel to 300 is 301. That's good. Hey, they've done that before. I mean, 22 Jump Street, 102 Dalmatians. They've done that before.
Is it just me, or is it nothing but sequels and reboots nowadays?
Do you know that Disney's big announcement over this past weekend was that they're going to do Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, and Zootopia 2?
Really?
Yes. With Zootopia, I'm all for it. I thought that movie
I'm actually
fantastic.
I love that movie. That's a great. I've seen that movie probably 7 or 8 times, easy.
Well, Andrew, I thought
brings out the furry in me. So yeah.
All I can say about Zootopia, and just to tell you how my mind works, is that when I first saw the trailer for that, I remember thinking, man, the furries are gonna love this one.
Yep, we did.
They did.
Yeah, Andrew did. Andrew enjoyed it quite a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're doing a Magic Mike 3. Who's coming with me?
Oh geez, we saw the trailer. We went and saw 80 for Brady, which was cute. Yeah, I let my wife pick, but we saw the trailer for Magic. We saw the trailer for Magic Mike 3, and my wife turned to me and says, I think I want to see that one too. And I'm like, shit.
I just want to see something original. I'm tired of. I already know. I'm tired of all these reboots, especially the ones that try to be, up to date and up to date and all that stuff, and it just never really works. I'm looking forward to the D&D movie because it's D&D, but I think the latest rumor now is that they're going to try and reboot Twilight, the vampire movies from like 20 years ago.
Why?
That was like
I don't know.
Because it was like 20 years ago.
No, it was like longer than that.
MK says, I'm already at the get off my lawn stage with no new stories. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
And Carrot says, So what I'm hearing is that there's a real chance of Paladin. I think so.
But you know what movie I'd be all for rebooting? If done right, it could be a really good movie, and that would be Flash Gordon.
Oh hell yeah!
I want him to do a reboot of Rocketeer.
All right.
Yeah.
If they do Flash Gordon, they got to get someone to like at least match the original Queen soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's impossible.
Jeez.
Nah, impossible. There's no equivalent for that Queen soundtrack. I'm sorry, there's no equivalent that's out there.
Who's the guy that's been?
If you have another artist cover a Queen song, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, they're also rebooting Highlander.
Yeah, I know. They're rebooting everything.
Oh God.
Ramel just hit Ramel in the gut.
Now the one reboot I was not that disappointed with was the Dune reboot. That was pretty decent.
I loved that movie. Oh.
One thing I would highly suggest is go on YouTube and YouTube the difference in the movie versus the book. Because what they do is they cover a lot of detail that they skipped over in the movie because it's so much content that's in the books that they don't even mention in the movies.
There's no way you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the issue was they were saying it was unfilmable because this Dune story was written back in the correct me if I'm wrong, the 60s.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it was written in the 60s, and they still didn't have the technology to actually film it until like 20 years later, which was the 80s. And I mean, when it came out in the 80s, I loved it. It was a great movie. Even till this day, I think that the force fields that they had were better than the one they had in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
No, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the remakes can be good. It's just a matter of who's doing it, honestly.
But I think Dune 2, the second part of Dune drops in November of this year. Oh, not 100% on that, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, I love Dune.
Yeah, I love the direct. I was so excited because I really love the director for the Dune reboot. He did the Blade Runner reboot as well.
Yeah, which I also love.
It's at the point now where I'm like, I'll watch anything you put the screen. Just give it to me, please.
Yeah.
I got full confidence.
Yeah, that guy could do like just. This is going to be deep, but did you guys ever see Koyaanisqatsi? Did you ever see that series of movies?
No.
The Koyaanisqatsi, there's a bunch of movies in it, but basically what it was, it's like 2 hours of like a low-flying plane, like just going over the Earth. It was a beautiful movie. It's phenomenal. It's like a tribute to the Earth kind of a thing. It's actually really, really cool. But I kind of feel like that guy, I don't know the director's name, but the dude that did Dune and Blade Runner, it's kind of the same thing. Like he could have a character just walking in some weird futuristic world for 2 hours, and I would gladly pay money for it.
And it would rule.
And he doesn't have to have any words. Just put a soundtrack on and have some dude walking through a crazy landscape for 2 hours, and I'm like, yes, right? He was awesome. All right, so this is before we get totally derailed.
Anyways,
we can totally keep talking. This is literally the last page. So, and this is, I'm actually curious for Flint because this is a little different for leveling up.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious on your take on this. So, do you want to take a shot at it?
Sure. At the end of every game session, the GM will discuss and answer the following questions in the group. Each positive answer grants 1 XP to the player character. Did you deliver on a dangerous contract? Did you discover a new and potentially dangerous place? Did you gain a new enemy? Did you find someone new that you can trust? Did you contribute with something especially memorable? Accumulated XP can be spent on improving the player character using the table below. So increasing ability by 1, raising to at most +1. So 5 XP, increasing ability by 1, raising to +2 or higher. So it's 10 times the value raised to. Increase maximum hit points by 1d4, which is 5. Gain a mutation. That's interesting. One ability must be lowered by 1. Determine mutation randomly. One ability must be lowered by 1? Oh, we'll talk about it. Gain 1 additional origin benefit. It can have at most 2, and that's 15 XP. It's interesting. It's like it's not quite an XP based, advancement in D&D, and it's not quite milestone based advancement either.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's engagement based, right? It's like, did you contribute something especially memorable is pure story driven.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The idea of gain a mutation, one ability must be lowered. It's sort of balancing a positive of gaining, like the potential positive of gaining a mutation if the mutation is positive, but then the burden of having it. But I could be, we certainly could discuss.
Well, the thing that confused me was, okay, is I didn't know the mutation was something separate. So I was reading that as one ability must be lowered by 1, and that is the mutation. Like that's it. So I was like, wait, so you're paying to lose an ability score? It wasn't quite making sense.
Fair enough.
I see what you're saying.
Fair enough. And a lot of the lingo is going to change too, because like mutation, isn't necessarily defined yet. So it could really just be like an ability from an archetype, a character superhero archetype, right?
Yeah.
So there's some linguistics that we have to kind of, I have to kind of play with. I think.
Yeah. I have a question I like to table.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's say I have a character, and that character is like a vampire, and say that I could create an army, basically through a bite. Like I could bite, say, a non-primary character, and at some point create an army to where it's almost like a hive mind, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Only way to kind of neutralize that is if, let's say, I bite like 10 people, whatever. So, I got crazy attack power. However, with a hive mind, it's like I won't be able to focus because my focus is split between, like, say, 10 different people or something like that. So my focus or concentration is weak. But how, if somebody decided to go that route, how do we kind of nullify that and keep them from like kind of overstacking?
Yeah, good question. I mean, and Flint can probably add, and maybe Zach too can add some color to this, but usually in something like a D&D, where if you have a spell like a mind control spell or something, basically the characters that are under that spell, every time it's their turn, they're going to roll a Constitution save. They're going to roll some kind of roll to try to break the grasp on them, right?
Okay.
And so that is kind of how their turns work. Eventually, the rolls come up where at least some of the characters will become free, and then depending on what the power is, you could actually have the power state something like, Ramel's character can mentally control up to D4 people, so up to 4 different characters, right? However, once 50% break free via a Constitution save, right? If 2 of the 4 break free, then your spell is broken. Your power, you can't concentrate anymore, and you lose it, and the other 2 become free.
Yeah. Okay. An additional way, and a lot of times, like in D&D, these sorts of spells have, the per round rolls for trying to break free of the spell. And there's also it requires concentration on the person that is casting the spell. I know that's not the terminology for our universe, but bear with me. So if I'm casting the spell and controlling 3 other characters, and someone hits me hard enough, like concentration breaks and everyone goes free, essentially.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I see how that could happen.
Carrot says, this is a great question. Carrot says, was there any sort of inspiration mechanic for players who do something notable in the game? I don't think I've explicitly put like a point of inspiration in there, but we certainly could. Like that's something that's pretty standard. So an inspiration point is like if you do something awesome, the GM can decide to give you an inspiration point for being inspiring, and then you can use it. Usually, it's for like for a reroll or a bonus action. At least in the games that I've played. What about you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We could. Yeah, I mean, we absolutely could. I can put that into the rules. I think that's a great. I'll just put a note in here.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. And that would be. Now, here's the question, and this is maybe to Carrot, since I think you brought it up. Would that be something that would be delivered in game or at the end of the game? At the end of the campaign, right? Would it be notable in the session or notable in the campaign?
I think that would be a decision for the DM.
Yeah. Usually, how I run inspiration is.
Usually happens like right there and then.
Yeah. I'll either do it there or right at the end of the encounter.
Okay, so I would just put encounter. Was that like a bonus action or bonus roll?
Yeah, usually like a bonus roll. Like I roll an attack and I roll a 2.
Right.
I'll roll again. I'll use my inspiration to roll again.
Yeah, Carrot says could be either or. Per play session seems reasonable. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Most of the times that I've played with it, it's usually like right after the encounter, like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Point of inspiration for you. Like I did one. We had this one game we were playing Star Wars 5D, so it's Star Wars but using D&D 5e rules, D&D 5e, and we at the Millennium Falcon was we were on the Millennium Falcon and it was docked, and all of a sudden like just an army of people. We were in the docking bay and an army like of people came up with like a couple of like little tanks or whatever inside of the docking bay, and I was in the ship, and the crew was kind of like hiding behind things, starting to take people out one by one. It was like 15 people, and I was like, "Well, I'm on the freaking Millennium Falcon," so I just went up to the gunning area and just started like like rail gunning everybody, just like wipe the floor with like everybody, and that was my inspiration point for the evening. Because they were like, that was awesome, just like the way everything melts. The description was pretty epic. In space. Hey man. So what do you guys think? This was basically the last of the main stuff. I mean, there is more like classes and things like that, but I there's no detail in here yet. I have to add stuff. But what do you guys think so far?
I think this is shaping up very nicely.
Oh yeah.
So far, so good.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited by it. I think we'll be able to, because I know that a lot of people are interested. I had a lot of DMs, people like interested to try it out and play. So the idea right now is that we are gonna, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we can have a version to play in another week or two. I just need the time. I just need to block the time out to kind of go through this once or twice more. And then what we'll probably do is first play test it here on Lore Games with this group. It's a great testing ground because half of us have played RPGs before and half of us have never played RPGs before. So it's actually a really good testing ground. And it's also, you want a little bit of a safe space just in case, like, character building doesn't work at all. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Because then we can talk about it, right? If something really is broken, we can talk about it here with you guys and everybody, and we can kind of solve it, and it won't screw up an actual game. Once we do a game or two via Lore Games, just play testing, then the plan is to roll it out to some game, like pick a couple of game nights with the summoners, and summoners will be able to play that and kind of test it, and really kind of dig into it a little bit. And then after that, we move it out to adults. So I think it can happen fairly quickly. I would love, like the goal for this, daydream, blue sky. So again, don't hold me to this, but I would love to see if we could find at least one night a week where we're like actually gaming. We're like actually playing this. And maybe that's Lore Games. There's nothing that says like we can come up with a campaign, Lore game it here, and then move it into another game night for summoners and adults, just to kind of get alternate testing on the same campaign mission thing. And then if it passes, it becomes part of Lore, So it's kind of where my head's at. Cool. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Awesome. KG says lots of good work there. Thank you. Carrot says good bones for a system. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's going to play out really nice. I think it's going to play really nice. I'm very hopeful. I'm actually kind of the nerd side of me is actually kind of excited to create like a character sheet for this.
Right.
Right. Like that'd be kind of cool. MK says good session. Thanks all. Yeah, MK, thank you so much, man. As always. Cool. Any guys, should we shoot the shit? You want to get out of here?
It's up to you, man. I mean, that martini's kicking in, so.
Yes.
So I'm fairly certain I'm going from vertical to horizontal in not too long.
We'll call it a night. This was we played a little longer, had a little longer session than normal. Although it actually was perfect. It's actually 2 hours, which is
you just had a lot of stuff to read through.
Yeah, and I really wanted to finish it tonight. Like get through the second half of it tonight. So
I mean, there was a lot of it that was like totally Greek to me, so I was just kind of like, okay,
fair enough.
Yeah, that's cool. I have no idea what that means.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Honestly, we're getting close to the end when I've already turned off my camera so I could take my shorts off. So
yeah. Ooh. Now who's Donald ducking?
Okay, bye.
Yeah, it's close. Does anybody want me to go get something off the back shelf?
No.
All right, guys, that's it. We love you.
Anyway, run.
He's gone. About left. He just left. All right, guys. Well, love you guys. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Making progress, doing great things, and yeah, man, this stuff is coming together. KG says you will learn, young Padawan. That's right.
I'm interested in learning a bunch of this stuff, though.
It's really, I think the cool thing is the only thing that even sounds complex is when you take like a dice roll and you add it to an ability score, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But once you realize how simple those numbers work, it's just giving you a randomized. It's a way to give you a randomized number so you get unique outcomes. Mm-hmm. So it'll be, I think, once you read it in whole, like here's actually a good point. I'll leave it like this. As I rewrite this, Avery, I think what I'll probably do is write it in the tone of someone who's never played before, so that you can say, 10 DR, and explain, difficulty rating and all that, right? So you understand that, to roll against it means, you're choosing a number. The GM will roll a difficulty rating or pick a difficulty rating of 10, and then you have to roll against it to kind of beat the number.
Uh-huh.
And if you beat the number, you succeed. If you fail the number, you fail. If you don't hit the number, right? So it's really simple when you think about it when you're playing it. But yeah, I think we'll make it really explainable. I think we can totally do it. So, but it's good to know, and I appreciate the feedback. And MK says a very happy birthday to Shiraboom. Awesome. Yeah, she's I'm gonna go say hello and good night to her as well, because it's her birthday. So thank you guys so much. And maybe she'll pop into AF and we can get her to like be in the Discord. But yeah, maybe.
I love the way that it's her birthday, so that now you're going to say goodnight to her as if that doesn't happen normally.
I guess I'll talk to her.
I guess I'll say goodnight.
Once a year, damn it, on your birthday. Once a year.
Well played, sir. Well played. Well played. Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Love you. That's a wrap for the Lore Games. We will see you back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. for Nerd Den. Yeah, we'll have some really fun things to talk about. So until then, love you all. Take care. God bless.